There are three personality traits that, when they exist together in one person, create the most dangerous human dynamic you will ever encounter. Psychologists do not call it evil. They call it the dark triad. And the reason it matters is not because these people are rare. It is because they are common. They are skilled at hiding. And most people spend years inside a relationship with one before they ever have a name. For what they experienced, this video gives you that name. And more importantly, it gives you the exact behaviors that reveal all three traits in a single person before it is too late. Have you ever heard of the dark triad? It's a psychological term for a chilling combination of three personality traits: narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy. Each one is a red flag on its own. But when they come together, they create a uniquely exploitative personality. The psychologist who coined the term, Dr. Delroy Powis, found that people high in all three traits share one disturbing characteristic. They see other people not as human beings with feelings and needs, but as tools. They view others as resources to be used, managed, and then thrown away when they're no longer useful. It's a scary thought, right? Understanding each of these traits individually is the key to recognizing when they rate all at play in one person. Let's break them down. Thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe for more insights into human psychology. Narcissism in the dark triad context goes beyond self-confidence or vanity. Research identifies two primary forms: grandiose narcissism, which presents as overt superiority, entitlement, and dominance-seeking, and vulnerable narcissism, which presents as hypersensitivity, victimhood, and covert manipulation. Both share the same core: an inability to genuinely consider another person's experience as equally real or valid as their own. In practice, this looks like conversations that always return to them, achievements that always need witnessing, criticism that is never accepted and always redirected, empathy that appears selectively only when it serves a purpose. The key tell is consistency. A narcissist's empathy turns off the moment it stops being useful. Ever wonder what personality trait people underestimate the most? It's not narcissism or psychopathy. It's Machiavellianism. And it's so subtle because it's the least emotionally visible. The name comes from Niccolo Machiavelli, whose famous work described power as a game of cold, calculated strategy. Individuals high in this trait are masters of long-term social manipulation. They are incredibly patient. They don't have emotional outbursts. They plan. They carefully study everyone around them, identifying their deepest wants and needs. Then, they use that information to their advantage. Research shows they're experts at reading social situations, controlling their own feelings, and setting up scenarios where you think you're getting what you want. But they're the ones truly benefiting. They're the people you trust completely, right up until the moment you realize every single interaction was a calculated move from the very start. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more insights. Psychopathy is the most misunderstood of the three. Most people picture a violent criminal. The reality is far more common and far more subtle. Research by Dr. Robert Hare, who developed the psychopathy checklist, identifies the core features as lack of empathy, shallow emotional affect, impulsivity, and an absence of guilt or remorse. What this means in everyday relationships is a person who can cause significant harm and feel nothing afterward. Not suppress the feeling. Feel nothing. They do not lie awake at night. They do not replay the damage they caused. The internal brake that stops most people from hurting others simply does not engage. In social settings, they are often charming, calm under pressure, and unusually confident. That confidence comes partly from the fact that the social anxiety most people experience does not apply to them. When all three traits exist in one person, the combination is specifically dangerous, because each trait compensates for the weaknesses of the others. Narcissism provides the motivation, the relentless drive for admiration, control, and superiority. Machiavellianism provides the strategy, the patience and calculated planning to acquire and maintain that control. Psychopathy removes the internal limits, the guilt, the empathy, the remorse that would otherwise stop a person from following through on harmful behavior. Together they create someone who wants to dominate, knows exactly how to do it, and feels nothing when they cause damage in the process. That combination does not announce itself. It arrives charming, attentive, and exactly what you were looking for. The early warning signs of a dark triad individual are consistent across research. They move fast. Emotional intensity and commitment arrive earlier than is reasonable in a new relationship. They mirror you precisely, reflecting your values, your interests, your communication style back at you with unusual accuracy. They are exceptionally charming in public and subtly different in private. They test boundaries early, small violations to measure your response and tolerance. They create triangles, introducing competition or jealousy in ways that seem accidental. And they are always, without exception, the most interesting person in any story they tell about their past. Every ex was unstable, every former friend was disloyal, every previous employer was incompetent. The pattern of everyone else being the problem is not a coincidence. It is a trail. Dark triad individuals create some of the strongest trauma bonds. Documented in psychological research, the combination of intermittent reinforcement, identity erosion, isolation from support networks, and manufactured dependency means that by the time most people recognize what they are dealing with, leaving feels psychologically impossible. Research on coercive control shows that the bond created in these relationships activates the same neurological pathways as addiction. The person causing the harm becomes associated with the only source of relief from the harm they cause. You do not stay because you are weak. You stay because your nervous system has been systematically conditioned to need the very thing that is destroying you. Protection from dark triad individuals does not come from being less trusting or more suspicious of everyone. It comes from knowing specifically what to look for and trusting the data over the feeling. The feeling will lie to you. It was designed to. What does not lie is behavior over time. Consistency between public and private behavior. How they treat people who cannot do anything for them. How they respond when you set a small boundary. Whether their stories about others follow a pattern where they are always the victim or always the hero. These are not foolproof signals, but they are observable, and observation, done consistently and honestly, is the most reliable protection you have. The dark triad is not a rare phenomenon reserved for true crime documentaries. It is a documented personality profile that exists across every workplace, every social circle, and every type of relationship. The people who carry these traits are not always obviously dangerous. They are often the most compelling people in the room, the most attentive partners in the beginning, the most enthusiastic new friends. Protection is not about fear. It is about clarity. You now have a framework that most people never get. Use it. Subscribe. Every week, this channel breaks down the psychological profiles and tactics that operate in plain sight. You deserve to see them clearly.